The 12th of January, you moved in November, didn't you?
Yeah.
And you got this letter, and just spell out what this letter says.
That letter says that because the property is derelict, that they can compulsory purchase it. If there's any repairs to be done in it, they could take it off the price of the property.
Yeah.
And these properties are for migrants. That's what they want these houses for.
Extraordinary, isn't it? And how did you feel when you got a letter? You moved into your new wonderful home, you settle down, law-abiding citizens, and you get a compulsory purchase order from the council accusing you of occupying a derelict home. How did you feel when you got this?
After paying 200,000 for it, we didn't feel very well.
No, it must have been one hell of a shock, mustn't it?
It was an awful shock. And when I got that, I felt sick. And when we went down to the council the day we got that letter after we read it. And the lady in there, she said, don't worry about it, it's just a standard letter.
We have been so hollowed out as a nation, we've turned our backs entirely on the territorial integrity of this country to the point where it's become standard to repossess houses.
But why is this always that it's for the immigrant and not the indigenous population?
In a story that is becoming disturbingly familiar, a new homeowner has been hit with a compulsory purchase order, PO, from the local council, forcing them to surrender their property. What was once an exceptional tool, used sparingly for major infrastructure projects, is fast becoming a routine mechanism of state control over private property. Beneath the surface, however, lies a far more unsettling pattern. Indigenous homeowners are bearing the brunt of this new wave of repossessions, while immigrants are statistically far less affected. Shock and anger are rippling across communities as more cases come to light. For many Indigenous families, the home represents not just financial security, but a generational achievement, a foothold in a country where ownership is often tied to identity and belonging. Now that foundation is being systematically eroded. It's like being evicted from your own life, says one homeowner who asked to remain anonymous out of fear of retaliation. You work hard, you save, you invest in your community, and then one day the council knocks on your door and tells you it's no longer yours. While compulsory purchase powers have long existed, their expanded use in recent years has raised serious ethical and legal questions. Ostensibly neutral on the surface, the way these orders are deployed is anything but. Data obtained through Freedom of Information requests shows that properties owned by Indigenous people are disproportionately targeted compared to those owned by more recent immigrants. This disparity, critics argue, is no accident. It's the result of a growing political and bureaucratic culture that views long-standing citizens not as the bedrock of the nation, but as obstacles to redevelopment projects, gentrification schemes, and shifting political priorities. Indigenous homeowners are more vulnerable because they tend to live in older, less desirable areas, precisely the kind of neighborhoods councils want to flip for profit, says Dr. Elaine Marks, a sociologist specializing in property rights and displacement. There's a clear economic incentive to clear them out and replace them with new developments marketed towards wealthier, often foreign-born populations. This isn't just about houses, said one campaigner at a recent protest outside a city council building. This is about who gets to call this country home. When Indigenous people are being displaced to make room for outsiders, you're asking for serious social unrest. The issue also cuts to the heart of democratic accountability. Many homeowners report feeling blindsided by opaque council decisions, secretive consultations, and backdoor deals with developers. Once a CPO is issued, challenging it can be a Herculean legal task. Few ordinary citizens have the resources to mount. Meanwhile, media coverage remains scant, often buried under more sensational headlines. But for those affected, the devastation is total. Not just the loss of a house, but of a future they had built from scratch. As compulsory purchase orders quietly become the new normal, the question that lingers is chilling. if even owning a home is no longer a guarantee of security for Indigenous citizens? What is? In scenes that few in Westminster can afford to ignore, thousands of locals poured onto the streets of Dover this weekend, demanding the government take urgent action to stop the boats and repatriate illegal immigrants. Carrying placards emblazoned with slogans like "Send them home" and "Protect our borders," the protest marks one of the largest grassroots uprisings against Britain's immigration policy in recent memory, and signals a deepening national crisis. What began as a small community, organized rally quickly escalated into a mass movement, drawing families, pensioners, young workers, and veterans from across Kent and beyond. Many demonstrators said they were not driven by hatred, but by frustration, a growing sense that promises made by successive governments to control the nation's borders have been nothing but hollow words. The flashpoint, as it has been for months, remains the steady arrival of small boats carrying illegal immigrants across the English Channel. Despite official crackdowns and high-profile rhetoric from ministers, crossings have continued unabated, straining local services and inflaming tensions in coastal towns. Dover, ground zero of the crisis, has borne the brunt. Local hospitals, housing, schools, and policing are under immense pressure. Many residents feel abandoned by politicians who, they argue, live far from the consequences of their policies. The protest remained largely peaceful, but the intensity of feeling was palpable. A collective fury fueled by years of perceived neglect, deception, and contempt from those in power. Police maintained a visible but restrained presence, conscious of the volatility a heavy-handed response could provoke. In London, government officials were quick to downplay the significance of the demonstration. A Home Office spokesperson insisted the government is doing everything possible to tackle illegal immigration, citing recent deals with France and plans for offshore processing centers. But on the ground in Dover, such reassurances ring hollow. Locals point to endless broken deadlines, legal challenges, and watered-down policies as evidence that the political class has no real intention or ability to stop the influx. With a general election looming, the implications are profound. Populist parties are already capitalizing on the unrest, promising tougher measures and vowing to give Britain back to the British. Meanwhile, traditional parties scramble to reframe their messaging, fearful of hemorrhaging support to insurgent challengers. For many in Dover and beyond, this protest was not merely about immigration. It was a roar of rage against a political order that feels hopelessly out of touch. A demand for sovereignty, security, and dignity in a country many feel slipping away before their eyes.